this is just the beginning. It's not a question anymore if institutions accept and use crypto. The question now is how and when. Yo, welcome to Soul Brothers, the finest podcast on Solana, with my dear friend Eno and myself, Simon, where it is our job to throw you into the Solana rabbit hole and show you around in our exciting ecosystem.
Our mission is to take you on the latest and greatest so that you never run out of fun things to talk about. Simon, are you in the apartment or are you somewhere else? What's going on, buddy?
I am in some random apartment in Belgrade. I don't even know what my life's like. Like I woke up at 1 a.m., drove to the airport, and then flew to Belgrade and drove from the airport to the gym. And now I just came back from the gym to this Airbnb and I sat down on this table. And now we're live because we got shit to talk about. So, yeah, I don't question my life anymore. It is what it is. You
Okay,
gotta
so
do what you gotta do.
I was right in saying that you are in yet another new location. It's good to see you, my soul brother. It's been a while. I mean, like we record twice a week, but I still feel I'm starting to miss Simon a little bit. You know, I haven't seen you in a bit, like IRL.
True. Yep, it's the Asia Roadshow brought us together once in a while, but now we need to wait until Breakpoint. But Breakpoint is coming. It's only how many more nights to sleep? We can actually calculate this. We should, but it's not many more nights to sleep until Breakpoint. Honestly, I think it's like nine weekends until Christmas or some shit. So it's
about like 45 days, I think, until Breakpoint. So see in about a month and a half. This has been a very exciting week. What do we have to look forward to cover today on Monday?
I don't even know. I don't even know where to start today because how do I put this? The agenda is full. It's
a very packed agenda. Yes, there's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah.
We are gonna talk about. Obviously, we need to talk, about something that happened last week. It started to heat up in the Solana Aggregator wars, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. That's one part of the show today because a few companies on Solana, and we're going to name some names later, started to be quite loud about some issues they have with each other. Obviously, they're competitors. So we're going to talk about that. But besides this, we do have a lot of other stuff on the agenda today. We're going to talk about the Solana Wall Street store, basically, which is really cool. I saw that on the crypto timeline. I was like, on the Twitter timeline, I was like, hell yeah, we're making waves on Wall Street. We do have a Solana Wall Street office now with free coffee and co-working space. So we're gonna check that out, look at it. We're gonna talk about some new acquisitions coming from the Pump.fun ecosystem. And a little bit of bullish news for their token, potentially, which has been performing okay, actually, to my surprise. There's a new collab between one of the most OG NFT collections, formerly Big ETH people, then launched some stuff on Solana as well. And now they're collabing yet again with a big, let's say, Web2 or normie world company or title out there. So we're going to check that out. And we also need to talk a little bit about what the fuck Trump is up to these days, because he's been pardoning people again. And we're gonna cover that as well, because the person who got pardoned is definitely a crypto person. Let me put it that way. But with all that stuff going on, we also need to talk about prices, because we're pumping. Have you seen the charts?
Yeah, no, I have seen the charts. Obviously, we're looking much better than we did a couple of weeks ago. A lot of the alts are still down, but at the very least, Solana is up. So I'd love to get into what I like to call the coziest part of the podcast. And Simon is going to walk us through the charts. Simon's technical analysis. What is going on in the markets this week, my friend?
It is looking good. I'm happy because prices are moving back up here. I'm having the Bitcoin chart open right now because I think I haven't said that before, I think, but for me, the current environment and the past 12 months in this current cycle, they feel like I mean, I'm biased, right? But it feels to me it's a BTC Sol cycle. It's a Bitcoin Solana cycle. I think we have when it comes to altcoins, Solana has the biggest mindshare. And there's just a fact that I throw out here without any data to back it up with. Obviously, secondly, I'm pretty biased, but do you feel similar? Like, do you feel as well that Solana, like when it comes to altcoins, like just, obviously there's Ethereum, right? But then we have all the L2s on Ethereum. They have their tokens. We have Avalanche out there. We have some of these big players. Um, but yeah, I feel like they're not hot. They haven't been highly discussed. Even Ethereum feels like it has one of its worst times right now compared to other cycles. So for me, it's the Bitcoin Solana cycle. Really, did you feel similar?
Yeah, I think if you're talking about in terms of product traction or even the work that we're doing with institutions, it's very clear that Solana stands on its own 2 feet and
Yeah.
is head and shoulders above just about any other ecosystem. And don't get me wrong,
Mm.
everybody has their own cheerleaders, everyone has their own fans. And Ethereum certainly hasn't done poorly this cycle. I mean, obviously there was
Mm.
a little bit of a scare in the Ethereum community, a dip, as it were. But now Ethereum's price has recovered quite a bit. So I mean, obviously their ecosystem
Mm.
is doing well. But in terms of mind share, as well as who do we think is going to do the best long term, it
Yeah.
looks like Solana is the best position for this cycle.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very bullish on Solana. I think we're going to see really high numbers when it comes to USD dollar per sol. But don't take my word for it. Certainly never financial advice what I'm saying. But I do think that $1,000 Solana is not unrealistic. It has been unrealistic before talking about it, but I think we're getting closer to actually a point where you can say these things without getting canceled directly because it is a stretch, right? It is a stretch goal. Right now, Solana's at $200, $201, and Bitcoin is trading at $115,400. And over the weekend, it started slow. Okay, so we kind of had this weird pump here that happened during last week on Tuesday. In one candle, we kind of shot up there, and then that was inflation data that came out. So there was a macro take. Inflation is on the rise, but softer than what was expected, and risk assets appreciated a little bit because last week people were already anticipating this week's federal funds decision, because this week we're going to get another decision from the Fed regarding rate cuts, and 99% there's going to be a 0.25 basis point or 25 basis point rate cut. And that has been kind of tried to be priced in early in the week, but then it did a lot of sideways action and it was a bit boring in the second half of last week. But on the weekend, we saw the move. The move happened. So what I'm tracking here right now is since let's zoom out one more time here. Since we came down aggressively just 2 weeks ago, on Friday, the 10th of October. Since then, we've been trending down, right? And I have started to track a 1-2 setup here. I identify first 1-2 setup. And that 1-2 setup is right now in its third wave to the upside, which is an impulse. And that third wave had, we haven't seen it yet, beginning of the weekend, but now it's there, because now this third wave here to the upside is actually playing. So the wave 2 support was holding, and now we have one sub count here in green, which is a 1, 2, 3, and we're right now in that third wave here. And then another sub count inside of that green count here is this smaller one on the smaller time frame, 1, 2, 3, and we might have completed this third wave here to the upside, this impulse, because we now, while we are live right now, while we're recording, we're seeing a decline. The first, like, let's say, larger decline that definitely indicates that we're correcting right now, and this looks to me like the start of a wave 4. So what I anticipate right now in the very short term to happen, what my magic ball is telling me, my crystal ball, we're going maybe up again, a little fake out, like a B, and then a C wave down to the fourth wave. Keep in mind, fourth waves are corrections. They're sluggish. They can either play out over time. That means a lot of sideways movement without any big down and ups, or they can move, to the downside. So there would be a retracement until these fib levels here on my chart right now that we're seeing. It would be actually this one here. So the first support line should be around 114,400. So that is the Fibonacci level between the wave 2 that bottomed here and the wave 3 that we're in right now. So if we kind of tap into that support zone, we can stretch lower than that. But typically, wave 4s should be shallow, not deep. The deeper they get, the more likely they break, and then we have to put a new count on the map here. But for now, I think we're going to tap into that support zone and then maybe push up to the third wave here to complete the larger third wave. Then we're going to have a larger fourth wave correction and so on. But the good news is we're on the way up again, and pretty much the same thing, is happening to Solana. That's why I started with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is leading the way. Solana is already a bit more deeper in the pullback right now. So if we put our fib level here, to kind of check, okay, where does this correction take us? We're on our way to $199 for the fourth wave correction. So I think as soon as we break below the 200, which we're doing right now, we might see that support zone here between 199 and 195. We can tap into that. We can stay down there a little bit. People are going to get scared. RSI is right now dropping again. And you can actually see that the RSI a lot of times finds support at 30 down here. And I can't emphasize this enough. A lot of people are not using RSI enough, but trading RSI like as an indicator, which signals overbought or oversold territory, is really, really easy, honestly, to do, because all you have to do is understand the Elliott waves we're in right now, have an assumption, have a strategy of the chart, and then pull the trigger of your trade based on the RSI. Because I would never open a trade inside of this third wave here when RSI is already close to 70, because we're overbought already. If you put in a long now, sure, you can catch the next stretch to the upside, but this is pure gamble because we're overbought. We're in the last bit of an upside momentum, right? So instead of being like, oh fuck, I missed the train, everyone made money left and right, and I didn't participate, let me just 50x go in right now and get the last stretch. Worst case, it turns around immediately right there, and you're gonna get nuked immediately, and you're gonna have a net loss or even get liquidated from that. So instead of doing that, why not just agree that you were wrong and that you didn't catch that wave, pause over there and wait what the market does. Because up here, when the price was here yesterday, last night, people, and I felt it as well, everyone was like, shit, should I jump in now? But that's never the best idea. Just wait until the next retracement comes and the RSI goes down again, because now we're entering a zone where historically, like, it always bumps, right, from this zone here, from 30 RSI. Right? Like, the only time it doesn't bump is when the thesis on the chart doesn't play out, your main thesis. So when the RSI doesn't work, then it means, okay, we're actually going deeper. We have to recount the whole wave structure and so on. So I pause here. This is kind of the setup that we have right now. We can talk a little bit technically as well, like about the broader kind of time frames here, and take a look at the Bitcoin dominance as well, which is very interesting. But we can also do that later in the week, because right now I really wanted to do a quick emergency TA, because we are pumping, and I don't want people to get nuked by FOMO, right? So yeah, just follow your strategy, and if you miss the trade, then just sit it out and enter later, or never, or just trade spot. There's certainly other ways to make money in this industry. You don't have to catch every wave here with a 50x.
Yeah, I mean, even if you do trade spot, makes a lot of sense to, because you could swing trade, right? Using all the
100%.
information that you just shared, there's no reason
100%.
why Simon's technical analysis can't be very, very useful to your trading. But of course, this is not financial advice. This is just two huge Solana nerds who look at the Solana charts basically every day, giving you their takes. But of course, we have plenty of updates from the ecosystem, lots of exciting stuff, a lot so not so exciting stuff. But we're going to talk about it all from A to Z. And I think the first thing that we want to talk about, Simon, is a public good that's been released by the Solana Foundation. It's called Launch. So if you go to launch.solana.com, you can see a whole bunch of open source tools to make it very easy to get onboarded onto the Solana ecosystem. In fact, there's one out of the four that I'm quite interested in. They have Cora, they have Commerce Kit, they have attestations, they have Solana Pay. Wow, attestation, verifiable credentials and identity management for the Solana ecosystem. Looks like I want to learn a little bit more. And then boom, you got Solana ID right there. I love to see it. So
yeah, bullish on SAS, honestly. There's so much more we can do with SAS, and it's not being leveraged enough. But it's also due to time will come for attestation service, right? When we really need it. It is right now. There's like, especially in the RWA sector, with real world assets, where you do need some compliance and KYC. Usually the apps that are live right now, they do not use these kind of on-chain verification systems. They have their own allow lists of wallets that they basically just KYC and then put the allow tag on them a bit manually. But I think like SAS for me is the future. Like that's where we should push towards. And like especially for KYC, KYB kind of flows, right? Where you have a trusted issue on chain, and it could be someone like Solana ID, right? Which like one entity that makes sure that the workflow gets done and the KYC is being completed, and we issue the attestation and we write the schema for it. But then the attestations live on chain. Once you did them, they're attached to your wallet, and they can be reused and recycled from all kinds of apps on Solana. And I think the direction we're moving into right now, we're gonna need more of that tech. Because we're building internet capital markets, right? Like we need to have these tools and Lego pieces in the middle to enable that future.
Yeah,
but we're getting there. What do you think about this? What's the domain again? Launch.solana.com. Is it that one?
Yeah. Launch.solana. Is it .com or .org? I just wait. Hold on. Let me just double check.
.com works. Yeah. .com works.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, obviously, the first question that any new developer will have on Solana is, what the fuck can I do with it? So they're going to be looking at a bunch of libraries, seeing what abstractions are available, and obviously attestations, RPCs, the whole 9 yards. Those are all very, very useful abstractions to have on any chain. So really opens up the toolbox for anybody looking to build a serious application on Solana.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's target audience for this website. I guess it's new entrants, right? New devs.
Yeah, of course.
Hackathon. Yeah. Like more experienced Solana builders, they won't find anything new there.
Yeah. But that being said, even if you are an experienced Solana builder, there are, I'm sure, thousands of different resources that you're looking at. So having a resource that is curated by Solana Foundation themselves, pointing you in the right direction for anything going from RPCs all the way to attestations is always a value add for any developer. And next up, another piece of macro bullish news is that Solana has 62 million SOL in SOL locked into Solana DeFi. That is absolutely amazing. We have not seen such levels since June 2022. As everybody will remember, that is before FTX. So we are at the highest levels of SOL locked in Solana DeFi, since 2022. So obviously, we have recovered, Simon.
Yeah, interesting. Where's it coming from? Where's all that TVL coming from? It's a mix of a lot of things, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously retail is a big part of it, but I think another unsung hero that's probably not talked about all that much is probably the DATs, right? DATs in institutions are looking to get as much SOL per share. I mean, in the case of the DAT specifically, as much SOL per share as possible. If you're an institution and you're custodying a bunch of SOL, also makes a lot of sense to be earning yield on that. If for whatever reason you're not comfortable with running your own validator, at the very least, you can participate in Solana DeFi. It also could just be retail users who are not on chain, but now have access to on-chain DeFi from off-chain platforms, be it
Mm,
brokerages or whatever, are also now participating. So we have a whole bunch of new sources of new SOL to put into Solana DeFi, and it's just
mm,
mega bullish for the chain, right? I will say though, this does mean, even though we've reached all-time highs for SOL locked in Solana DeFi, as a percentage of total SOL in the network, it actually is a smaller percentage, right? Because there is inflation. But that
yeah.
being said, it's still mega bullish that we have folks that are depositing SOL into longs or perps pools
Mm,
or into whatever LPing, whatever it is that they may be doing. It's great to
mm,
have more participation of SOL tokens in Solana DeFi.
yeah. Honestly, I think it's one of the most exciting um, corners of the ecosystem. Obviously, right? Like decentralized finance has been leading the charge since years, right? When it comes to crypto use cases, right? It is naturally a financial instrument, right? Like it's cryptocurrency. But I think it's super exciting to see how much innovation we really got on Solana, because there's so many teams that are building in different corners. You have the LST teams that are doing LST stuff, and then you have the kind of yield looping people. They do a lot of interesting yield loops. Then you have the perp dexes with their FLPs, with their JLPs, and what is Adrena's APL, I think, or LRP. Sorry, ALP. You have these kind of corners. There's so
Money
much like
markets,
exciting stuff. Money
just straight up
markets,
borrowing
lending,
against
yeah,
collateral. It's all great stuff.
yeah. And Camino, like even one app, just Camino, has so many options to do shit, right? And then I mean, the way why I think it's so fascinating is because it is permissionless as fuck. Like everyone can just use these things, right? And there's something for every risk appetite, right? It goes from I'm going to be liquidated next week if something happens to I'm just putting my dollars in some stable to get some 3%, 4% risk free, real, literally risk free if you do it with like Lulo insured, whatever, right? Like you have so many options. And I'll compare this with your bank industry, right? Like what can you do in South Korea if you wouldn't work in crypto with your money? Where
Yeah,
do
I
you
mean,
go?
not
What do you do?
much. Yeah, not much.
Yeah.
Put it into like a CD for like 3% yield, which
Yeah. And
who gives a shit, right?
it's like
As
low yield, no variety. It's kind of boring, even like
yeah,
the things you can do with it, especially for retail. Like there's
yeah.
there's a lot you can do with money if you're an institution and if you know how the world works, right? But for retail and for uneducated people, I actually think crypto is a huge unlock. People always say, "Oh, crypto is so complicated." Yeah, fuck that. The traditional financial markets are fucking complicated. No one understands
Mm.
that shit. No one knows how PE works unless you work in PE and in private equity, and that's where the money's at. And we're not, normal people are not taking part in these markets, right? Like the normal Joe is maybe he has a Robinhood account, right? Or something similar, and buy some stocks and waits, right? But
Yeah.
that's what it.
I mean, but even if we're talking about PE, I mean, we didn't talk about this news in previous weeks, so it was a pretty big news item. But Base bought Echo, right? And
Yeah,
Echo,
hell yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think they bought it for somewhere around the tune of $300 million, which, first of all, is
375 more. Yeah.
yeah, fucking nuts for 2 years worth of work. Am I right? And number
Yep. Yep.
two,
Yep.
what Echo does is it allows you to invest like the big boys, right? It
Yep.
gives
Yep.
anybody access on chain
Mm.
to PE. So,
Yep.
I mean, even what Simon is talking about, PE, not really possible or very hard to participate in
Mm.
the real world. But then if you, we shouldn't call it the real world, we should call it TradFi. But if you're talking about on chain, we already have that, right? And in fact, a very successful company who has already gotten acquired based on that
Yeah.
thesis. So I assume that we're going to
Huge.
see more companies like that
Mm.
allowing, and that's what on chain was. Well, not always supposed to be about. It was more about privacy
Mm.
and sovereign money. But what it kind of also evolved to is
Access,
providing,
no?
yeah, access, right? Providing financial access. I don't
Mm.
think
Inclusion.
Satoshi was thinking about private equity when he wrote the white paper,
No, not
but
necessarily. But yeah,
um,
since then a lot happened, right? And you
yeah,
cannot, he kicked the can, down the road, and we
yeah,
we we picked it up and build something nice with it.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. But we're gonna have one of these companies later today as well in the stream actually. So if you are a fan of the show, then make sure that you watch the normal YouTube video as well. It's gonna be later today or tomorrow, probably tomorrow, on our YouTube channel. And if you're on the live stream, if you're actually watching this right now, you can also stay here until we're finished with the news, the latest and greatest, because right after we will have an interview with the founder of Nomu, who is building something in that corner. Right, it's not private equity, but it's basically a Kickstarter, a crypto Kickstarter, where you can profit from the revenue that your favorite products make, right? In a nutshell. But we're gonna get there later. Right now we still have so much to cover on the agenda, so what's next?
Yeah, over in New York City, the heart of finance, not only for the United States, but also the entire world, we have a very special edition of the Solana Spaces that was also hosted by the Solana Foundation in collaboration with Solana Spaces. It's called the Internet Capital Markets Store. Very, very cool. It's in the heart of Wall Street. You also might have noticed that on the timeline, I mean, there's always so much stuff going on in the Solana universe, but in addition to all of the moves that the president of Solana Foundation, Lily Liu, is making in China, in New York, there's been basically nonstop coverage of Solana everywhere, everywhere from billboards to advertisements to this store right here. So obviously, if you go inside, you get access not only to launch your company on the internet activation, right? It's like this cute little desk with graphics behind it, and you can set it to be like, we're launching our company, and you press a button, and I think confetti falls down. Also, you can buy Solana merch, and if you look very, very closely here, Simon, you'll see something by our friends over at Rockaway X. It says whysolana.com. It is a website that links you over to a PDF, again, created by our friends over at Rockaway X, that explains Solana as infrastructure for digital finance. And it really breaks down what Solana is for anybody who wants to understand it from first principles, right? How big is Solana? Like, what is the market opportunity? What is the traction so far? Et cetera, et cetera. So this is a really cool activation that they're doing in New York. And I bet you that there have been a couple of finance bros probably hopped up on a little bit too much cocaine, checking out, what the fuck is Solana? What are we doing over here?
What are you saying, bro? Like you're saying everyone who works in finance is doing cocaine?
I'm saying that there's a very high probability that if you're in finance that you probably do cocaine.
Wow. Look at this. Look, you know I worked in finance.
I know, but you were in Frankfurt. In Frankfurt, I don't know. You guys are so busy eating. What? It's not Frankfurt. It's Dusseldorf.
No, it is Frankfurt. But there's a, how do I say this? Let's say drug dealers make good money there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then what are you complaining about? Okay, maybe not you specifically, but my overall point was correct.
Actually true. Whysolana.com, guys. Actually a really, really good document. I sent this to people that ask me, what the fuck do you do with your life, Simon? Like, what is this Solana thing? I sent them whysolana.com and they will understand what I'm doing and why I work in this. It's actually a really good starting point to get bullish on Solana. Yeah.
Another really big piece of bullish news by Solana is Sol, the token, obviously, lol. So Sol is now listed on Fidelity, and not everybody around the world will probably be interested or care or understand what Fidelity is, but Fidelity is one of the biggest retail brokerages in America. So you can kind of think of it as the shitty version of Robinhood. Before Robinhood, there was Fidelity, and there are a lot of folks who use that product all the way, not only from retail users, but to institutions. So now you can access Sol through Fidelity. And it's funny, Simon, how much the environment has changed over the last 2 years. Exchanges wouldn't even touch Sol, right? And now we have full-on TradFi brokerages, as well as, New York Stock Exchange listed companies in the form of DATs. That have made Sol their entire thesis. So I know that this might seem a little boring to folks who keep up with this news day to day or week to week, but make no mistake, this is a huge sea change in terms of how people are interacting with and perceive Solana. So that is some very bullish news that we have such a large brokerage that now allows for Sol custody of their assets.
It's just the beginning. this is just the beginning. It's not a question anymore if institutions accept and use crypto. The question now is how and when, because they're already here. Reminds me of
Yeah.
this amazing marketing clip that the Solana account shipped months ago with the title "The institutions are here," and it is so true. They're active, and it is really, really good for our ecosystem, because what you need as an investable or tradable asset is credibility, and they bring a lot of credibility by hopping on the train and allowing custody for Sol instead of others out there, without naming names.
Yeah. Another big piece of news, this time coming out of the Pump.fun ecosystem, is that they have acquired a company called Padre app. So Padre is essentially a token terminal, right? It's a terminal for multi-chain trading. They also claim that they have the highest cashback in the market. And also related to that news is that a snapshot was taken of Padre holders, because God knows that a token terminal needs a token. And and essentially they are giving pump tokens within 24 hours of submission. Holders are able to do so, and they can receive pump tokens corresponding to the value of the Padre tokens that they held at the time of the snapshot. So I don't know if I should say congratulations to the pump team, whatever. But yeah, they have acquired a token terminal, and it is big news for them.
Can you have you checked this Padre thing? I've never have you heard about them before this?
I have never heard of Padre in my life, but they do have quite a following on Twitter. So I'm sure that I'm sure that they're serious product builders. Built for winning. I don't really know how to distinguish between different token terminals. They all seem quite similar to me, but I'm sure people who actually use token terminals to trade would tell me that I'm a moron and I have no idea what I'm talking about, which is true. So.
So what does this mean for Pump? What is the strategic angle for them acquiring Padre? Is it just a revenue play? Do they just want to make money?
Isn't it really interesting that one of the first products that every major team seems to acquire is a token terminal? I just find that interesting. If you look at Jupiter's history as well, I think one of the biggest acquisitions they did in the very beginning was CoinHall, right? And CoinHall was also a token terminal. They ended up becoming Ape.pro, which then turned into Jupiter Pro, their token terminal. It just seems to me that if you have any sort of swap product or token purchasing product, your power users are going to ask for those types of features, right? It's like, okay, you have X shitcoin on Y chain, and so therefore, can you please provide me with high quality data, the ability to trade it directly onto Jupiter using those tools? That's, I'm assuming, why they do it, is because their loudest, most powerful users want the ability to trade charts directly, using Jupiter or Pump or whatever it may be. I don't really know, Simon. But
yeah, I mean, you can trade. That would be an interesting metric, right? How many people actually trade on Pump.fun directly versus somewhere else, right? Because you can also, and I think most of the people will probably either they're still using Telegram bots to kind of snipe and be early in some of these tokens, or they just go via Axiom and all these kind of bullags and telemetry from Bonkpod and so on. Because the Pump token interface, it's nothing special. It kind of sucks. It's not beautiful. There's better ones out there. Even Jup Pro is already much cleaner and neater, and you can trade any Pump token there, right? So I guess they just want to be more standalone and do more shit in-house. Because what counts for you as a business is you want that the users you already have do more shit with your shop, inside of your shop, inside of your business. And I think that's where they're heading. Interesting choice, interesting pick that they picked Padre, which I never heard of. But we'll see in the next 6 months what products come out of this acquisition.
Yeah,
let's see.
We'll see. And moving on to other parts of the Solana universe, we're going to go over to NFT land. You can see this cute little animation of a penguin holding a Chinese scroll, and that is Po from the movie Kung Fu Panda. So that's something that I think is super interesting. You had so many NFT projects that claimed that they were going to work on so-called IP plays. Pudgy Penguins is basically the only NFT project in the world doing it at this level, right? They're able to negotiate partnerships at the highest level, including DreamWorks, which is not a tiny partnership, by the way. And they have some sort of collaboration now with Kung Fu Panda. So Pudgy Penguins is bringing Pengu into the world of Po, Master Shifu, and Grandmaster Oogway from DreamWorks Animation, Kung Fu Panda. More information to come soon. So this is an announcement of an announcement, but I think it's very nifty that they have, negotiated something so big with DreamWorks Studio.
They've been doing shit like this all the time. They're so good at building narratives, brand, and following around them, and no one can do it like them. I feel like it's crazy how they do it.
This is all positive news for Pengu holders, both the token and the NFT, because part of the promise or the why the fuck would you hold those? They're cute, but also you want a cut of the pie, you want a little bit of revenue, you need a narrative to invest in. And I will say that Luca and the entire team are very, very good at executing at a very high level very quickly. So congratulations to the entire team for their collaboration with DreamWorks Animations.
Yeah, hell yeah. Good job.
But that's not all, Simon. We are going to dig into the namesake of our podcast, which is the Solana Aggregator Wars. Obviously, over the weekend, actually the last couple of weeks, we've had a bit of a public spat between the founders of Jupiter, as well as Titan community members, as well as I think one Titan co-founder as well. The sequence of events is as follows. October 17th, DFlow asks Titan Exchange publicly to remove DFlow from their UI. And then that's followed by October 24th, so about a week later, Jupiter claiming that Titan Exchange uses the Metis algorithm, therefore confusing users who might not make the distinction between the Metis binary and Jupiter Ultra. And they are different products. And then you have Titan's response on October 25th saying that they are just using the standard Metis binary. They never claimed that they, that they were quoting Ultra prices. There's actually been a lot of other back and forth as well, which includes Vidor from Solflare.
Everyone. Austin Federa, Vito chipped in from Solflare. Meow and Xiong are very loud about it. Obviously, Tim and Chris from Titan are joining the founders as well. And it came to a point where even the company accounts made big posts about it. I think that's the pinnacle of every Solana project drama, is when the company accounts start to post publicly, big accounts like Jupiter account, Titan account. Because normally these fights are between the founders, the individuals, right? Which is normally, that's okay. It's a little bit of heckle, where you're like, hey, your product's worse than my product. No, my product is better than your product. This is why. Like, you can do that. That's competition. If you do it on the personal level, right? So that's one thing. Then you start doing it with your company accounts. Then it gets kind of serious, public, and almost kind of legal dispute level. It's not anymore a little bit of heckle between the founders or the community. No, it's like it's a war. Right? It's a full blown war, and that's pretty much where we ended up here pretty quickly. Like Titan, Jupiter have been around both for some time now, but Titan recently launched their open beta, so it was closed before. So that has been like a month now, a little bit more than that, and since then, I think this topic became more and more relevant, and now it peaked.
Yeah. The crux of it is that Titan is growing very fast. And I don't think that principally Xiong and Meow actually have an issue with the competitor growing fast. Their Jupiter at this point has nothing but competitors because they do so dang much, right? And if you're trying to build the DeFi super app, then obviously you're just going to have competitors everywhere. So it's not that I think that they have an issue with competition. They specifically feel like the way that Titan was displaying information on their website was deceptive. Speaking from someone that's like right in the middle and loves both teams, I
Yeah.
don't think it was malicious on Titan's part at all. But certainly, I do think that certain changes were warranted. I also hope that
Mm.
certain reciprocity will be met
Hmm.
as it pertains to Titan's data, since they're using the Metis algorithm. I'm sure that those
Yeah.
conversations are ongoing. I also know that there are probably tons and tons and tons of peacemakers. I am probably the least significant out of anybody in the middle, but I'm sure that there are as outreach on both sides trying to break the stalemate a little bit. I'm sure that the stalemate has already been broken to some degree, because if you look at Titan's website right now, you are actually pointing this out. Deflow has been
Right.
removed, right?
Hmm.
Deflow has been removed from the quotes as per their request.
Hmm.
And also, Titan has clearly labeled the Metis binary to
Hmm.
Jupiter. So obviously, it's not going to be a quote in the same state, which actually matters if you're trying to figure out who has the best pricing. It's
Mm.
clear that Titan has competitive pricing. I don't think anyone is saying that they don't. It's just
Yeah.
it really ruffled some feathers the way that they went about it. I don't personally think it was malicious. They've
Mm.
clearly taken steps to try to remedy the situation. And I don't know. I don't mind competition, but I don't like when things get a little heated.
It is. Look, the stakes are high, right?
Stakes are high.
There's, it's a huge market to capture. It's a big opportunity for both of them. Jupiter has been almost the monopoly on swaps. Like, let's keep that in mind, right? For quite some time now on Solana. Like, they've been the only meta aggregator really out there that is doing it on that level, right? And they integrate their API into a bunch of third-party apps, right? They all route through Jupiter, including wallets like MetaMask. Is MetaMask Jupiter on Solana? This one I'm not 100% sure, but protocols like Uniswap, right? Like these kind of third-party apps, they use Jupiter. So they have they had a lot of power in the ecosystem, and they want to keep that power because it is making them a lot of money, and it's very healthy for them. And they do have a tradable asset that is live right now, which is the Jupe token, which is definitely under pressure, right? They are under pressure. They're internally fighting, to be the best DeFi super app on Solana and to make it right to their token holders as they should, right? Get the price into the token. A lot of public interest in that, a lot of stakeholders, that are involved in this, a lot of community voices, a lot of pressure on the founders and the whole Jupiter team. So that's one thing. Then you have Titan, who are like, I think on the timeline they called them the bullies, like they're coming now out of nowhere, and they're like, hey, we're ex quants, we're ex TradFi traders, we know what the fuck we're doing, we're going to do only swaps and we want to do it better than you, and it's a big statement. I love it because it means competition, right? Which is good for the ecosystem. And again, the stakes are high because Titan they have to deliver now, right? Like they have to they brag a lot, they say a lot of things in their marketing, they have to deliver now. So there's a lot of interest on both parties to be the best and to outperform the other. And then you have the nature of crypto Twitter, which is always more on the extreme side of things when it comes to the level of how spicy is the talk. There's a lot of shit talk on Twitter, right? And there's a lot of memes, and shots get fired, and that's what has been happening so far. Um, so I think we have to distinguish a little bit during this war between actual facts, like things that are wrong, like malpractice, like you shouldn't do that, right? Maybe on both sides. Maybe Jupiter should have been a bit more clear with what the fuck this Metis thing really is and why it's not being worked on anymore, and how like there was not a lot of. They just changed the GitHub for Metis like a day ago or 2 days ago on the weekend, I think, and updated it a little bit with new wording and made sure that it's marked as outdated. They probably should have done that a little bit earlier. Like they could have avoided maybe a little bit of that stuff on Jupiter side of things. Titan, okay, they do have some sort of. I think they have to at least allow Jupiter to use the Titan API, which they so far haven't, which is one of the big concerns that Jupiter has. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, at least as we know in public, right? And
Yeah.
I guess the thing that kind of perplexes me about this entire situation is that No, fights between founders on Solana happen all the damn time, guys. Like people
Yeah.
have problems with people. Not every just because we're like all one ecosystem and like we are all bullish on the Sol token doesn't mean that we all like each other, and it certainly doesn't mean that we all cooperate with one another. But usually those disputes are settled privately, right? So like you might have a problem with somebody, but you get on. I mean, everyone's accessible through Telegram, right? Like it's obvious that they're in contact. For whatever reasons, the comms privately broke down. I don't know what those reasons are. I certainly don't think that it's malicious on anybody's part. But those discussions are now spilling out into public, and quite frankly, I don't think it's a good look for anybody. I don't think it's a good look for Titan. I don't think it's a good look for Jupiter. I'm not one of those guys that's all like, well, you can't have competition. Like, and certainly it's fine for. Michael Jordan famously is all like these new basketball players in the NBA, they're all friends. But like back in my day, like if you were serious about winning the fucking championship, you wanted to murder that motherfucker, right? Like it's not like we're friends. It's like, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah. Right. So there's, it's competition doesn't necessarily need to be healthy, honestly. Like it can be a bit, but here's the thing. What I would like to see on Solana a little bit more, and I made a post about this the other day, I'd like to see a bit more creativity and genius when it comes to fighting each other. I want to see it being done in a witty way, with a little bit of humor but finesse. I don't know how to describe this, but there's been a few companies in the world that have done this really, really well. And Mac and PC have been doing this when Apple was new a lot. Like Apple did these commercials, and they're hilarious. You should look them up on YouTube. I'm a Mac, I'm a PC is the title of it, and it's like this quirky guy that looks like with his shirt, like looks like a guy that's kind of boring in the office, kind of whatever, not very interesting. And this other guy looks like a little bit more hip, right? Like young, and and then the ad is basically just them standing in front of the camera, and one is a Mac, one is a PC. You can already tell which one is the PC and which one is the Mac. And then they do they say some stupid stuff that's very cliche and very superficial between these two brands. But Apple did that in a very creative way, and they're literally shitting on PC. They're like, PC is boring, PC doesn't work. They say a lot of things in the clip where you're like, it's actually true. Like, and then it is definitely shots fired. It's very competitive, but it's funny. It's not, they're not screaming at each other. Coca-Cola and Pepsi did that a lot. Car companies do that a lot, right? Burger King, McDonald's had some fight in the past. It was really funny as well. You have Nike and Puma, I think. You have fucking 50 Cent and who was it?
Kanye.
Who did he? Kanye. Yeah. So you have all these fights between competition. They can be interesting and fun to watch. They don't need to be weird and
personal.
Personal, right?
So, very, very personal.
Let's see where it goes. For now, I think we're making progress here and there. Things have been said publicly. Bottom line, Titan got a lot of marketing exposure from all of this, so that's great for them. And you can see it on chain. They actually grew a lot of volume in swaps over the past week, which is people trying out Titan to see if it's true, right? And there have been a few videos. I can call out tokenguy.sol, I think, who did a great comparison also between Titan and Jupiter. And these people are usually completely unbiased.
Objective.
They don't give a shit about they don't give a shit about what label is on the front end. They just look what executed the better price. Executed, not quoted, executed. So you execute the trade, you look on chain, and you're gonna see what's performing better. Keep in mind though, Titan right now is not charging any fees. They're not making any money as of now, to my knowledge. So that means that usually their prices should be almost all the time better, because if you use Ultra, the best Jupiter router you can get, there is a fee involved. So it's a bit of an uphill battle for Jupiter, right? Let's see if they're going to remove their fees at some point to just be better. that would be the end game for them. But anyway, this is the aggregator wars. Obviously, big part of today's show that we wanted to deep dive into. Do you have any final takes on this, or shall we move on?
I think that this shit is going to happen a lot more. That's what I think, especially in 2026. I think shit is going to get a lot more personal and a lot more public And like, I don't know, I don't look forward to that era. I over the last few years, we've had what Chase from Solana Mobile has called a truce between all the different dexes and protocols. I tend to agree. With the wallets have always been a little spicy. They've been a little sassy. They like to shit on each other a little bit. But at least for everybody else, even if you were a competitor, it's like, okay, you don't fuck with us, we don't fuck with you. We just kind of stick to our own lanes, and then we try to acquire customers in the open market, and we don't really talk about each other all that much. And that's the truce, right? I don't know if that truce is going to hold. I would like, maybe this is just idealistic of me, and this speaks more to my own personality, but like, I do like truces. I like clear rules of engagement. I know that you are in favor of a little bit of light creative ribbing, which I don't necessarily mind. But I'm not looking forward to an era in which like new Solana founders are sniping at old Solana founders, and now we feel compelled to respond. Like, this just like doesn't sound all that fun to me. But yeah, might be much more common. Yeah.
Yeah, a balance might be the right way to go here.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on.
Yeah.
What else do we have?
Yeah. Our favorite Orange in Chief has pardoned CZ for his crimes. What were CZ's crimes? Well, he was clearly. I mean, I don't know about him personally, but at least his company, Binance, was clearly operating in the United States. They claimed that they had proper protections against providing access to their exchange by U.S. customers, and they clearly didn't. Right? Anybody with a VPN and half a brain could access Binance, and there were internal company communications that were taken from CZ's phone, and I believe some other phones of Binance executives, that clearly pointed to that they were aware that they were in violation of those regulations, and they did it anyways. They didn't give a shit. And so, I mean, now you can have another broader discussion of like, does that law even make sense? Like, should the U.S. have the ability or the power to stop its citizens from accessing exchange? That's a completely different philosophical conversation. What is not up for debate is what were the laws at the time, and was Binance in violation of those laws? The answer to both of those questions is yes. It was illegal, and they did it. And so CZ went to prison for exactly 4 months. Anybody who's a Binance fan knows exactly what this means. FUD. But anywho, or no, it's what doesn't 4 just mean to like? Nick would know what the hell this is. Yeah, no, four means like just keep building or something like that. It's like forget all the FUD and just, I don't know. He has like a list of different things you're supposed to do when you have like lots of FUD, and like the 4 fingers means like I'm just focused on building. I'm not paying attention to anything you fuckers are saying.
That's a CZ thing.
It's a CZ thing. It's a CZ thing, yeah, that he made it into a meme on his account. So now, anywho, he's already out of jail, so I guess all the pardon doesn't commute his crime. All it does is it scrubs it from his record. He's no longer, I believe, a felon, because that shit is permanent on your record. But if you get that, expunged from your, and there's a bunch of things you cannot do if you're a felon, including be the CEO of your own company, in which Binance, CZ has not been the CEO of his company since he came back from jail. So I actually think that this paves the way to a new era of Binance where CZ is back at the helm, because that was one of the conditions of being convicted felon. Can't hold an executive office in a company. Now he can, I think. So congratulations, question mark.
I mean, Trump, the living example that you can even be a president with a track record that is a bit sketchy. Like, he might have some. He might have some. How do you say? In German, we say bodies in the basement. I don't know how to say it in English. There's a phrase for that as well. Like you say, how do you say when you have dead people in the casket? No, what's it like? How do you say?
Oh, skeletons in the closet?
Skeleton in the closet. Yeah, we say,
but bodies in the basement. I see. Yeah,
dead bodies in the basement. Ein paar Leichen im Keller. That's what we say in German. But so Trump pardoned CZ, very interesting. And also some of the quotes from Trump are kind of funny. He says, "I don't know him. I don't believe I ever met him. As I was told, they said what he did, it wasn't a crime."
Yeah.
Awesome. That is enough ground for me to pardon him. Maybe there were some sketchy deals in the background, you know. Maybe they shook some hands. Maybe he does know him.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, Trump does some crypto stuff. Maybe he wants to have a good friend in the industry that has some power.
The way that both Trump and Biden have used presidential pardons has completely broken its system. Like in the beginning, presidential pardons were used very sparingly, and also the news paid attention to every single pardon, and so like that was the check and balance, right? The president didn't abuse the system, and the press would keep the president honest because, like, I don't know, if like the president were to release a serial killer, I mean, the news would probably fucking report that shit, and that would be a problem. But you know, both of those presidents have used pardons in a way that I feel to be inappropriate. I think going all the way up into the Obama presidents, I mean, like every president has used the pardon at their own discretion, usually at the end of their first or second term, because who gives a shit, right? They're going to be out of office. But yeah, no, it's clearly being abused at a level that is I'm not comfortable with. Obviously, that has been in the interest of like Ross Albright is a person who I think did not deserve the sentence that he got, but you know I think the way that he got his pardon is a little bit sketchy. I feel the same way about CZ as well as Ghislaine Maxwell involved with Jeffrey Epstein. All of them have gotten pardons by Trump, and basically these pardons are. It's a get out of jail free card, man. It's crime is legal season. It's if you have anyone near Trump, you're allowed to. So now I feel like this is why we can't have nice things. This is why we have to get rid of presidential pardons now, because you get one asshole like Trump, and then he just anybody who gives him a cookie gets a pardon. You know, that's what that kind of feels like to me. So
do you guys feel like Eno doesn't like Trump? I don't know. It's a feeling I have sometimes in my gut. I don't know where it comes from, but you might be able to tell based on how he talks. But enough of the orange man. Let's talk about some news from our partners. What do you got on the agenda?
Yeah, so we've been hyping up the Solflare card for quite some time. Everybody in the Solflare universe has been hyping up the Solflare card. And now over 117,000 users are getting very close to unlocking the Solflare card. Will you be one of them? Well, that's very easy. First, you have to obviously complete your KYC, and there is $100,000 in rewards. 50,000 of that goes to the top 20 promoters of Solflare card by points. And the other $50,000 are going to be raffled off. So you have up to $100,000 in rewards to help spread the good news for Solflare Card, and over 117,000 in signups. That is absolutely fucking fantastic.
117,000 users signed up and KYC for the Solflare Card. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of. That's a lot of users for our little crypto bubble here. Good job, Solflare. And they're not done yet. Job's not finished. Job's not done. The campaign stays open for longer. We don't have an exact timeline, but from sources, I know that it's going to stay longer open for a little bit more. So we can still anticipate the campaign and make sure that we get our raffle tickets and our hands on a Solflare card. And you can sign up to it to get a little head start, some head start points. You can use our link, which is waitlist.solflare.com/solbrothers. Waitlist.solflare.com/solbrothers. And Solflare are not the only ones who shipped some updates. What do we got from the friends over at SNS?
Yeah, no, so this is really interesting. So if you trade SNS, your character gets a little boost of speed over on Pump.fun, and you're like, what the fuck is Pump.fun? Pump.fun is an on-chain game, and what they do specifically is they have a game where your on-chain activity actually fuels how your character performs in the game. Nice. And so that's what I meant earlier by if you trade on SNS, your character will get a speed boost. So that's kind of funny. You can that's a new take, I suppose. Trying to get people to behave in very specific ways by giving them I don't know, different skins or like different EXP or character boosts or whatever the fuck. So that's interesting for sure.
Yeah, it's a different twist on leverage your on-chain reputation, what I've been preaching since a while now. It's
Yeah.
it's a gamified twist on that. Actually, really funny. Might work. Yeah, might be a good idea. Hackathon. Candidate metal.fun. Good stuff. What
Yeah,
else you got?
and if you connect your wallet over to MagicSwap, which is a DEX aggregator swap router on Solana
Mm-hmm.
powered by Mystic DAO, you can see your SNS name live. So for those of you who are not new to the show, you know that SNS puts a ton of work into making your SNS domain name work for you in every single platform you could possibly imagine. So you can now use your .sol domain in MagicSwap Pro. I think the last piece of SNS news that I'll share is that they are on the road. I mean, Ohm is perpetually on the road. She is always spreading the word, finding new partnerships. She does a lot of that BD work herself. And now she's going to be obviously over in Shanghai, in Hangzhou, in Shenzhen, and now Dubai right before Breakpoint for the Solana Economic Zone in Dubai. That's going to be very fun. So if you want to travel the road and meet the SNS team, Ohm is very friendly, and she can meet you in any of those cities.
SEZ is usually really well structured, very high quality event. So gonna be pretty good this year as well. And then obviously we got Breakpoint right after. What about our friends from Flash Trade? Anything
Yeah.
we can share? Any news we need to double tap on today?
Yeah, they have a bit of a insane looped play for a token called FLP.2. So FLP.2 is now available on Loopscale, where you can max leverage it for an APY of 576% with 10x leverage. That is fucking nuts. What is the liquidation risk on this FLP.2?
Well, the good news is that the FLP2 is the stable pool token. So that means the stable pool FLP2, they act as counterparty to all forex and commodities markets on Flashtrade. It contains only USDC in it, so it is the most stable FLP pool out there. That's why it's called the stable pool, and the APY on it is naturally pretty good already in Flashtrade. It sits at 35% right now, weekly APY, which is a number that's constantly going up and down, depending on the amount the underlying assets, in this case commodities and forex, are traded. 35% is already pretty good weekly, but if you want to compound that APY, you loop it using Loopscale, and that's where the fun begins. But let me think about that. Liquidation price. Actually, I have no idea. What happens if you loop a stable asset?
Yeah. I mean, I just don't understand why people do not talk about Flash Trade and their tokens more. I'm not even talking about just FAF. I'm just talking about all the FLP tokens are super
Yep.
innovative.
Yep.
And so like that's actually, I mean, if the liquidation risk is low, I want to learn more about the risk of FLP. I want to get fucking Anas on here so I can grill him about how FLP2 works. But 463% leverage is that what? That's fucking nuts. That's crazy. I mean, like, look, even if you told me 100%, right? Like this is way exceeding beyond anything that I would ever ask for. But like, well, I mean, perhaps why the yield is so fucking juicy on these pools is because they are so underfarmed, right? Like, obviously, this is true for any product, but the more capital you get in it, the more the yields compress, right? So, like, if you have like a million people looping, $1,000 into FOP2 on Loopscale, there's no fucking way that you would get 463, 500% on the loop. But that's probably just because not a lot. So maybe we should just keep this as a secret for all Soul Brothers listeners. If you guys want to earn a very sexy APY on your stablecoins, you should consider looping FOP2 on Loopscale, because that's fucking sexy as shit. I love that.
I mean, just keep in mind right now, I think the assets under management are capped, and the cap is exceeded.
Yeah.
So,
well, probably so they could keep up these rates.
APYs. Yeah. So yeah, you have to watch the pool a little bit to be able to get your share of it, because yeah, again, it is right now at 100% target. It has a max target of 518,000 USDC, and it's sitting right now at 545. So yeah, the max target has been exceeded, and I believe yeah, you can try it out if you can mint the tokens right now. It might be possible that there's a little bit of wiggle room, but can't guarantee it. But definitely, yeah, fucking juicy yield. I'm not gonna lie.
It's very sexy. Okay, well, we are at an hour and 7 minutes. It has been
Yep.
a very, very long podcast episode. We are not even done yet because we have an interview with Daniel, who is joining us soon-ish, I think, in about 7 minutes or so. Ain't that right, Simon? So
that is right. But for the podcast audience here, if you're listening to this later on YouTube or on Spotify or on Apple Music or wherever you're listening to Soul Brothers, then you can catch that interview with Daniel from Nomu. Very interesting app on Solana. They're launching their token today on the Monday of this week, on the 27th of October. If you want to learn a little bit more about Nomu and how that token, how that TG went, then you can check out the interview on YouTube. Just look for it. It should be live later this week on YouTube as well. For now, thank you so much for listening to Soul Brothers. This was your latest and greatest to kick off this week strong, because it is going to be a big week. And it started really well with a weekly close that was quite bullish for Bitcoin and Solana. So let's see what the Federal Reserve decides to do with the interest rates. But before they make that decision, we're going to have another live stream for you and another recording later this week. So we catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for listening, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube account. Thank you so much. We'll see you at the next one.